Good morning. Glad that you're here this morning. If you have your Bibles, let's get them open to Luke chapter 7. We'll be in Luke chapter 7. We're going to be discussing this morning a soldier's faith. We'll start off by asking a simple question. Do we really believe that the gospel of Christ is for all people?
Yes.
No matter their race, socioeconomic status, nationality, or political stance? Do we believe that the gospel of Christ is for all people? And in this story, we have a Gentile seeking Jesus, not for himself, but for his servant. Very interesting. In this story, we're going to see a miracle Jesus performs to someone who didn't ask for the miracle. To someone who didn't ask, per se, for healing. But it was done because somebody decided to go to Jesus for that person. We'll look at it through that lens. So if you have your Bibles, open them up to Luke chapter 7, starting in verse 1. Luke chapter 7, starting in verse 1. Jesus has been talking and preaching, and he just got through about preaching about building your house on the rock. You know, we talked about the rock and building your house on firm foundation and not on the sand. And then it says in verse 1, after he had finished all his sayings in the hearing of the people, he entered Capernaum. Now a centurion had a servant who was sick and at the point of death, who was highly valued by him. When the centurion heard about Jesus, he sent to him elders of the Jews, asking him to come and heal his servant. And when they had come to Jesus, they pleaded with him earnestly, saying, he is worthy to have you do this for him, for he loves our nation. And he is the one who built us our synagogue. And Jesus went with them. When he was not far from the house, the centurion sent friends, saying to him, Lord, do not trouble yourself, for I am not worthy to have you come under my roof. Therefore I did not presume to come to you, but say the word and let my servant be healed. For I too am a man set under authority, with soldiers under me. I say to one, go, and he goes, and to another, come, and he comes. And to my servant, do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard these things, he marveled at him. And turning to the crowd that followed him, said, I tell you, not even in Israel have I found such faith. And when those who had been sent returned to the house, they found the servant well. So a pretty powerful story here. So the very first thing we see is, who is this centurion? Who is this guy? Well, obviously he's a military man. Now, he's a military man that's equivalent to what we would have as a sergeant major. So he is very reliable. He has demonstrated that he is reliable in his service. He's moved up in the ranks. He has shown that he is faithful to his duty. As a military man, he's been given this rank of centurion. He's earned it. He has shown and demonstrated that he is reliable. He has also shown, because of this rank, that he's a steady person. Steady under pressure. Whatever the orders are, he is to fulfill those orders. And he is supposed to stand at his post no matter what happens, and to die at his post if necessary. So he is reliable and he is steady. And also, to be a centurion, you also kind of have to be what we would call a man's man. Have to be able to relate to his men. Making sure his men know who he is and to follow the orders and to do the things that needs to be done. Now, this is a man who has come in, who's obviously he's a Roman, so he's a Gentile. He has come into this area. He is not a Jew. Rome has taken over Jerusalem. They've taken over the Israelites. They've taken over the Jewish people. So they're not highly looked upon. But here's something that's interesting about this. When you read about all the centurions in the New Testament, every centurion that you read about is looked upon favorably. That's pretty interesting. Another thing that we notice about this centurion is he values life. He values his servant. Now here's something that we need to understand about Rome and Romans. Romans had slaves, and they were viewed upon just as property. They didn't really care too much about their well-being as far as the Roman nation is concerned. When they used them up, and they were done with being fruitful in their service, they were pretty much kicked out and left to just defend their own cause. They're no longer of any use. They're kind of just tossed out. That's how the Romans treated their slaves. But this centurion has a servant that he highly values, as the text says. So much so that this servant is very ill to the point of death. And so this centurion says, he's under my command. He's under my roof. I'm the one in charge of him. I'm taking care of him. And so he goes and he sees Jesus. Something else that's very interesting about this man is he was respected by the Jews. Did you catch the reading? Did you catch the reading? Because when he hears about Jesus, did you catch what he does? When he hears about Jesus, he sends the elders of the Jews to go find Jesus. And then did you catch what the Jews said to Jesus when they got there? When they found Jesus, the Jewish elders said this about Jesus. They said this about the centurion. They earnestly pleaded with him, saying, he is worthy to have you do this for him, for he loves our nation. Meaning he's done things that benefit us. He's not a tyrant. He's not somebody who's taxing us and taking everything over. Matter of fact, he built us our synagogue. So this is a man who's highly, highly respected because of his leadership and what he's done with his leadership. So he wasn't a lording dictator. He was the one who was actually, with his leadership, was a servant. With how he served the people. So he was respected by all. Did you also catch that in this text that he was also a believer in God? Because he loves the Jewish nation. And he built their synagogue. He respected the Jews. And he respected their convictions. Someone must have taught him about God. And he hears about Jesus. And he sends for Jesus. He sends the Jewish elders to go find him. I kind of find that interesting. Because weren't some of these elders combative to Jesus? Maybe so. But because they had respect for the centurion, and he says, go find Jesus and bring him, they did. Interestingly enough, he doesn't expect Jesus to come. And the reason why he doesn't expect Jesus to come is because a strict Jew wouldn't go into the house of a Gentile. Because they didn't hang out together. That was a big no-no. So he doesn't expect Jesus to literally come to the house. And we're going to get to the reason why here in a minute. He did not view himself worthy to have Jesus in his home. So Jesus hears what the Jewish elders are telling him. So Jesus goes to the centurion's house. He's on his way. And he comes out and says, he sends out his friends. He says, I'm not worthy to have you in my house. I know your teachings. And I respect your teachings. I don't want you to do anything that violates your conscience with the teachings. That's what he's doing. And he doesn't view himself worthy. A centurion, a Roman, a Gentile. who's pretty high up in rank, doesn't view himself as worthy to have Jesus come. So you get the picture of this guy's attitude and his behavior. But the fascinating thing is, he knew Jesus could just say the word and his servant would be healed. So that's what he says to him. Hey, I'm a military man. When I say to somebody to go, they go. When I say to come, they come. When I say do this, they do it. Because I'm in control. I'm the one that dictates and tells people what to do. So I know what you're doing, Jesus. But I'm not worthy to have you in my home. Matter of fact, I know the power you have. All you have to do is just say the word, and he will be healed. And because he says this, Jesus marveled at him. This faith that this Gentile has touched Jesus. But not only this, the Gentiles' faith also taught the Jews. And Jesus makes that statement. Not in all of Israel has there been such faith. In other words, are you paying attention, Israel? That faith in me is cross-culture. Faith in Jesus, faith in me is not just for Jews. All people can come to me with what they need. I can give them what they need. But the centurion doesn't come for his own behalf. He comes on behalf of a servant who's ill. Because the servant is under his care and under his watch, and he values his servant. If you want to get the best out of people, you treat them well. You know, give a little bit of equine work here. Horse training. Anybody ever trained horses? Okay, good. You know the old ways? Throwing a rope around a horse's neck, lassoing it, tying it to a post, blindfolding it, putting a saddle on it, getting on its back, turning it loose and hanging on. You know, how you break a horse, and the horse will buck and rear and snort and snot and all that kind of stuff because it doesn't want this human on its back. This is not natural. And you can break a horse that way. But you will never get 100% out of that horse. Now that horse will obey you. And it will do some work for you. And it will do some things. But you will never get 100% out of that horse. You might get 90. But you will never get 100%. But if you go into a round pen with one. And you watch the horse. I'm going to tie this all in. You can hang on with me. When you walk into a pen, the very first thing the horse is going to do is he's going to turn away from you, especially if he's wild. And he's going to show his backside to you. In other words, he's trying to find a way out. And you just go in the pen and sit down. And that horse is going to look for a way out and turn himself to you. But the minute the horse turns and faces you, he now perceives you now no longer, well, maybe you're not such a threat after all. And you just kind of sit there. And eventually, over time, if you take time, that horse is going to come to you. And he's going to smell you. And you may reach out, scratch his muzzle a little bit. And he may throw his head back up and rear his ears back. But over time, the horse is going to perceive, now you're no longer a threat. And next thing you know, he's going to stand beside you. When he does that, then you can slowly stand up. And if the horse turns and runs and shows his backside, you stand still. Once he starts coming back to you, and perceive that you're not a threat, now we're working on a friendship. And then you slowly introduce the blanket on his back. And if he doesn't kick or curl, harp, or twitch, he knows you've won his trust. Now I watch my father-in-law train a lot of horses all the time. And the method I'm telling you Every time once he's gotten to that, and every time he's on the side of the lawn, put the bridle on, then he'd step up in the stirrup and step down. And eventually, when he got him on his back, that horse would never buck. When you gain 100% trust, you will get everything out of that horse. That horse is going to want to please you and do everything it can for you, because you've earned its trust. And it's the same way with people. Earning trust with people takes time. And this centurion has people under him that trust him. And he serves them as their leader. He understands who Jesus is as a leader, because a leader is a servant. And he understands this. And this taught people about being faithful to Jesus Christ and trusting the one who will save you. Trusting him. I guarantee you this centurion could get everything out of his servants because the way the centurion treated his servants. And I can guarantee you that he got everything out of his men because the way he served and led his men. You want people to 100% follow Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is trustworthy. We've got to teach them that. That's why it's so important that every promise that was ever uttered in the Bible has been fulfilled, save one. The one that hasn't been fulfilled yet is when Jesus returns. The point is, we can 100% trust Jesus. We can 100% trust God. And if we do that, and we can do that, then we should be giving everything we have to God with 100% confidence. Faith in Jesus is cross-cultural. Jesus tells the crowd this is faith. Look at the faith of this Gentile. Here is a Gentile teaching the Jews about faith in action. And because of this, when the servants went home, they found the centurion's servant well, healed completely. And Jesus performs that. Because one was willing to take the need of another to Jesus. So what do we gain from this story? Here's what we gain from this story. Faithful servants bring the hurting to Jesus through prayer. When we know people who are hurting and struggling in life, the very first thing we do is we take that to Jesus in prayer. And we have the faith and the confidence that Jesus is going to do what needs to be done for that person. More so than what we think needs to be done. He will always have the best interest at heart for us. It may not look the way we want it to look, but Jesus is always faithful. Faithful servants bring the hurting to Jesus in prayer. Faithful servants point the hurting to Jesus. When we have people who are hurting and in despair, whether it's through disease or affliction, whatever the need is, point them to Jesus Christ. We serve them by pointing them to Jesus Christ. Going to the Word and looking at the promises that He says He will do and He will keep. That's what faithful servants do. Faithful servants also serve their fellow man no matter their social status. Look behind me. Look behind me right now. We've collected because we know we have people in this community who are going to struggle this time of year. They struggle all the time too. And this church has chosen to serve. And serve all people of all nationalities and all different levels of socioeconomics. And the last one is one of the things that we need to really grasp. Faithful servants come from all different cultures. It doesn't matter where you were born. It doesn't matter who your mother and father were. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. It doesn't matter where you come from. That's relevant. What matters is that the gospel is for all. And there's people from all over the walks of this earth who have come from some different hardships and even different religious teachings, have found their way to Christ. Faithful servants come from all different cultures. So do we really believe that the gospel of Christ is for all people? Yes, we do. And one of the important things we do as disciples of Jesus Christ is we bring people to Jesus Christ through prayer. We bring people to Jesus Christ through teaching. We bring people to Jesus Christ because we have invested our time and our efforts into their lives and becoming having a relationship with them. Showing them that they're important to us and pointing them to Jesus Christ. This is a powerful, powerful story. This centurion didn't have to do that. He could have just had the attitude, this is a servant, he's used up his time casting him. But he doesn't. He seeks Jesus out for the benefit of the servant. So my challenge to you today, to me, is we have people we know that need Jesus, right? Because they're lost. Keep praying for them. Don't give up on them. Continue to let Jesus work on them. Keep praying for them. Keep fighting for them. Keep pointing them to Jesus. Don't give up. Whatever your need is this morning, and however way we can help you, we ask that you come now as you stand and as you sing.